Greetings, everybody. This is Greg Aden with Aden Leadership, and I have the utmost pleasure in introducing two really wonderful human beings. One is Doug, or Douglas as I like to call him, Douglas McGee, and Mary Grothe. Let's start with you, Mary. Just give us kind of a brief overview of who you are, where you're from, and how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, I'd like to say I'm an openly faith-based CEO, and I run a really fun company out here in Denver. I'm a wife to a wonderful, kind man who supports me, and a very handsome, gorgeous, most beautiful baby in the world. He's not a baby anymore, he's 4.
And tell us a little bit about your company, the name of it, and how long is it? How long has it has been in existence?
We started with the name Sales BQ, BQ being the behavioral quotient. We started in November of 2017. And we started because Doug McGee helped me with a breakthrough. I was employed somewhere else and I was stuck. I was very emotional and living inside of a box that I had created for myself, but I just felt that entrepreneurial fire inside of me and that I had God given talents and purpose, that I was created for so much more. Excitingly, in 2020, the pandemic caused us to do some necessary shifts.
Sure.
And I had to rebuild. We had a substantial loss this year in March 2020. It was the best thing I never knew needed to happen to me based on my faith in the scripture in Matthew that talks about building your house on the rock. What you build on the rock will withstand any storm. And that's what we learned when the pandemic shutdown happened. And it rocked us silly and a bunch of our clients. And what was left standing was built on the right foundation. And that's my new commitment. That's our new commitment. And we're rebranding under the name House of Revenue.
Well, Mary, I'm going to go back to something you said in the very, very beginning. You were stuck, and you said Doug McGee came to your rescue, or you enlisted him to help you. And anybody that knows Doug McGee knows, and he is. You talk about rocks. He's a rock of a man and rock of a brother, and he's been a great friend to me for many, many years. So, Doug, I'm going to bring you in now and share a little bit about that memory you had getting Mary and her company unstuck, but more importantly, I want to hear from you and how you got started and where you are today.
Yeah, so thank you, Mary, for that. I certainly do remember the exact experience of that conversation. It took me back, and I hadn't forgotten it, but it hadn't been something I thought much about. And so thank you for that, for bringing back to that really powerful moment. That's the joy of working with committed individuals like Mary Grothe as a coach. So I guess my whole journey has been just my whole life, and just as some level of a shortcut, I knew that I was going to do this at some level very early in my life. I remember driving to a job that I had after I broke my wrist in 9th grade. I was right-handed and broke my wrist playing basketball, taking a charge. Greg, you can appreciate that, right?
Yeah.
My mom was driving me to Northwoods Inn here in Colorado, which is where I grew up in Littleton, and I was a busboy. And she said, well, how are you going to work with the cast on your right hand? And I just remember saying, it's all mind over matter. And I specifically remember that moment driving in the car. And then as I've matured and moved forward in my life, running businesses, owning businesses, working in corporate America, I've always held that as a baseline understanding of how anything is possible, and not only for ourselves but for other people. And if someone doesn't see it in me, then I have to see it in me. But when someone does see it in me, it also allows me to raise the ceiling and see it in myself. And that's what I remember about my conversation with Mary Grothe, was that moment when she actually not only understood it intellectually, but in her heart, and the freedom and liberation that came from that, knowing about what she was going to do. And faith was a big part of that. And I really encouraged her to bring that out front, because it is who she is. And so I respect and admire her tremendously. You can tell her passion. I learned so much through my clients that I've worked with, including Mary, many of them women, by the way, that there was a gap in the world for coaching men. And at that point, I didn't I didn't have the juice, the jam to coach men at a very powerful level. And so I had to go out and do my own work to
Amen.
understand how to show up and hold a container in a massive capacity for men to challenge them. And so Realm.men is my current evolution of the dynamic of transformational work and coaching. And that has evolved over the last 2.25 years. We are, basic vision is just to help men become better men, physically, spiritually, in their relationships and professionally, and doing so consistently with a system that is gamified. It's fun, and doing it in a community with other men who are consistently producing results and challenging each other. And then not only understanding it, but like Mary talked about, actually applying it and integrating it in life, because information is information. It can be some form of sedation until it's actually integrated in life. And so experiential learning is what I believe is the method for evolving quicker and growing in all areas, physically, spiritually, relationally, and professionally.
No, you both show up so powerfully. You know that you've served one another. You've served hundreds of people here in the Denver area and around the country. And Doug, just an opportunity to shout out back. You and I have done some work together, and in a short amount of time, you always get right to the point. You always get to holding another human being accountable for who they are and what they want to accomplish. And I can look back at 2014 when you were coaching a group of 6 of us to ride Leadville, but it was really more about who we were becoming as men and potentially as a group. So you do great work, and I know clients are enrolled in your Realm.men program, and they speak volumes to what it is you're doing for men. And as a man, I will tell you that we don't show up as powerfully as we can. And we hide and we lie, and we tell everybody it's okay, and it's really not. And it's interesting work, and again, I applaud you for sticking into what it is we need. Mary, I'll go back to you for a second, and as you think about leadership and your style of a leader, you have your own company. Clearly, you're a leader and an owner. But when you think about your style, what qualities and attributes would you say describe you as a good leader, and potentially, if you were to be so modest and agree, you're a great leader?
For me as a CEO, as an openly faith-based CEO, I don't treat this like my company. God runs this company in my eyes and in my faith. I am a steward of it. He gave me these talents, and this company was an opportunity for me to further the kingdom. And with that, that means love and light.
Right.
How do I want people to feel after an interaction with me? And when I was able to finally answer that question, then I could back into how to show up in that conversation.
I believe you love first and then you lead second, but you love the people you've invited into your world. And I believe they sense that, and that's why they show up so powerfully with you and for you. It's just my 2 cents from what I gathered listening to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Doug, to you, I asked the same question. If you were to speak to a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old boy, man, what would you say are the most important qualities and attributes of a great leader?
What a great question. So this is, I've never been asked that question. So this is a evolving answer. So I'm just going to connect and be with what's present. I believe commitment is the beginning of the funnel, because if I'm not committed, then I don't have the courage to show up as a leader. And without the courage to show up, I never gain the confidence. So I'm a big alliteration guy. So now it's alliteration. So courage or commitment, courage, confidence, certainty, because when you have confidence, you gain certainty, and from certainty you get clarity.
Beautiful.
So the 5 C's. I would share with that 12-year-old Doug McGee that without commitment, it's a different horse race. once we're committed, once I'm committed, I mean, like deeply committed, not from ego committed, but from like, this is aligned with something greater than my self commitment.
Wouldn't it be nice if the men in this world would show up exactly how you described with those 5 C's as parents? And I'm not saying you didn't have that in your world, but wouldn't it be great if as men we could parent that way and show up? Because in my work, one of the key attributes and qualities that people look for in leadership is they lead by example. So let's pretend that more of us were showing up with commitment and clarity and as you mentioned. And then Mary, you said it without saying it, there isn't any ego in your leadership style. And I don't believe you would allow any ego in any of the leaders within your organization. So you lead by example, by love and leadership. So thank you. And anything you want to add to that, Doug, as far as parenting and being a man? I saw you grin and smile. I didn't know if there was something you wanted to share on top of that.
I didn't have that. As I was raised by a single mom. So youngest of 4. It's not a woe me story. It's a
True.
Expletive heck yeah story, because I loved what I had because it's made me who I am. And why I do what I do is because if I would have had what I believe in so deeply as a leader, either through my family or through community or through work, if I would be at another evolution than who I am.
Well, no, you and I are on the same page. All 3 of us have been in front of, next to, and behind some very powerful men and women in our lives. And something I like to share with my clients is get over yourself. I really don't. I'm really not impressed by your title. I appreciate where you went to school and all the initials next to your name, but I only want to know how much you care about leading somebody else that, again, you invited on your team. Because at the end of the day, who's responsible for everybody on your team? We are, right? Have you heard the phrase servant leadership before, Mary? And if so, what does it mean to you? And how would you coach it into an organization given an opportunity? If someone said, hey, we need or want a little servant leadership in our organization, what would you say to them?
Yeah, it's not a buzzword. If you're to treat it like a buzz phrase, or this is the trend of this decade is to be a servant leader. Okay, great. I lead with my heart. Then I'm a jerk inside my company and I'm full of ego and I don't practice what I preach, but we put it on our website that we believe in servant leadership. I mean, you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Servant leadership is exactly as what's written. We actually started redefining some of our core values as we enter this new year. And I have this written down that it's serve first, scale second, and succeed always. A serve first mentality with our clients is that their best interests have to be in mind always. And you say servant leadership, what a blessing that
Right.
somebody's going to trust me to serve them. Like, I can't think of anything else I would rather do with my time, my day, my energy. If someone's life can be better because I'm in it, sign me up.
Doug, as you know, we've got a big conference coming up Thursday, February 4th, the Leadership Development Day. Both of you have been joyful enough to agree to speak. One of the topics that I want to try to address right now is, what do you believe the world needs right now? And I know there's a song, what the world needs now is love, love, sweet love, and everybody likes to sing it. And yes, frankly, we do need more love. But I want to hear from you, a man that's helping men be real men. What do you honestly believe the world needs right now?
One of the more appropriate quotes from Anais Nin is that we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. If I can see my upset, suffering, judgment, resentment, whatever it is a result of my own way of being,
Mm-hmm.
and I see that in someone else, then I I have to know that I'm the source of that. And so much of the separation that we're experiencing is because it's a point of view. It's a freaking belief that has no more substance than a cloud. And we're burying into the ground in righteous beliefs that are creating more separation and suffering in the world than ever. Masks, no masks. Why can't it be both and? Like, why can't it be like this non-dual world instead of you've got to have right, wrong, you've got to have good, bad, you've got to have black, white, you got to have, that's such crap. So what is the world needs? It needs ownership. It needs us all to do our own personal work and seeing the judgments and, you know, the negativity that we're putting out into the collective, right? Into love. It needs responsibility. It needs peace. It needs a big breath. It needs heart.
Share with the listeners, how did you become the man you are after succeeding in corporate America? What were the bit, you said you've done your work, but for the listeners out there, men and women, what did you really decide you needed to do in order to become the man you are today?
Yeah, I needed to really screw up.
Join the club, huh?
And fail, and not as a need to, but that all the transgressions and poor choices I've made in life, including an affair and a separation. I mean, it's what has occurred, and I am the man I am today because of that. And you know, I'm not, like Mary said, I don't hide because I guarantee you, of the 10 men who are listening to this, 7 of them have thought about what I did, or maybe even more. And unfortunately for many, they don't put that back together. And I recognize that it had nothing to do with my wife or the woman that I was having a relationship with. That had everything to do with me. And so I got really clear about who I was as a man, and I had to chip away and rebuild. And not only did I do that in my marriage, I did that professionally. And I would sit in corporate meetings at a regional VP level and just feel myself gagging, because that wasn't me. It doesn't mean it's not someone, but it just wasn't me. I felt like I was constricted in a box. And so I always was trying to figure out how I could go outside of that box and serve my corporate clients and my colleagues, and I always felt trapped. So for me, I needed to just be me.
You know, you are real. There's not many men I could say that are as real as you are. You've always shown up with such clarity and such precision in how you speak and how you show up for other people, and you just resonate love and realness about you. And obviously, Mary is sang your praises early on, and I'll continue to do so.
Well, I was just going to say thank you. And even, you know, it's hard to receive it. It's hard to be on this with Mary and sharing. And it just feels for me like what a gift to sit with someone like Mary and even Greg when we got to work together. It's a gift and an honor for me to be in that space. And
yeah, in my work, I have 5 principles: integrity, accountability, courage, passion, and humility. And for me, leaders struggle with courage and humility. They courage to have the courageous conversation, the difficult conversation, make the time, take the time, and prepare for it, and sit down and say, I screwed up. Here's why. Here's what I'm going to do different, and I ask for your blessing for forgiveness. And with our son, with our spouse, with our coworkers, again, people we've invited into our life. And then humility, the ability to put another human being first. And I don't know why leaders struggle with courage and humility the most, but they do.
It's called vulnerability and being found out.
Yeah, that's true. That we hide, don't we? A lot of us do. The Leadership Development Day was a thought I had around how do we really serve? How do we really bring the juice for 18 to 22 minutes per person and leave people with an impression on how they can shift, and I mean in the moment, from this to that, or take a nugget or two and become a better man, a better woman, a better human being, a better parent, a better leader. So when you first heard of it, Mary, what did you think, and why did you want to be a part of it?
It just felt needed. I just when I read the description, it wasn't another business skills seminar. It wasn't hey, let's pull out our books and talk about our core values and our big rocks for the year, which was good. Those are good exercises, but there's so much of that in leadership development. And so when I was reading through the lineup and synopsis of it, I selfishly, one, I had to raise my hand. I'm like, do you have all your speakers? Because I want to be a part of this. I mean, I could just feel it inside of me. I just felt so led. I'm like, this last year was the best year of my life.
Yeah, I'm glad you're part of it. And I just thought of something relative to servant leadership. You just kind of said it there, but it's like holy shift, not holy. It's right. And I don't mean holy as in as much as I do, you can wholly shift, all of you, like this. I learned that from Steve, and Doug preaches it as well. We can make decisions to change who we are in the moment if we want to. If we become aware of what it is we want to change. And Doug, to you, my friend, and the last question, I promise, is when you heard of this, what, other than me asking you to please participate, what made you excited to be involved in the Leadership Development Day?
Well, it was the walk that we took in March or April, and the evolution that's kind of occurred since then. And I know who you are, and one of your gifts is creating a space for others to learn, and including other experts, quote unquote, to share in that space to serve at a higher level. So it is your manifestation of servant leadership, and coming from the hospitality industry, you have a gift, and that gift will be evidenced even virtually. That will be unique and different than any other virtual conference. And when we do this in person in a year from now, it'll be even different. So yeah. I guess the answer is it's your gift that you offer to the world, and those people who you have collaborated with to share their uniqueness, to serve at a greater capacity, and to have the conversations that no one wants to have.
Right. Amen. Everyone in the lineup is gonna bring their juice. They're gonna be real. We're gonna challenge individuals to grow and shift in the moment, and it's going to be a blessing. And you guys have used the word. It is a privilege and honor to be around great men and women who are doing great things, and it's all in the name of doing it for someone else to get better.
Just think if this was a model that you're templating for, humanity, and if it can be done in this environment, and we all have different beliefs, it can be done anywhere.
Yeah.
So thank you for being a courageous leader to show up and test it.
I'm excited. As you know, we've been in a few circles, and I keep bringing up, we should do this, we should do that, and it gets me going. Mary, parting words for our audience out there. One thing you'd like to share relative to yourself, your company, your leaders, your kid, anything. What would you like to leave us with today?
By investing in calmness and learning about calmness and bringing that into my leadership, tremendous, exciting things have happened as a result because of my personality. And if anyone has watched this and thought, wow, she's a very enthusiastic, passionate person, and you can align with that and say, that's how I am. I get really worked up. There's a side of this that you can also see come out in me when I react versus respond. And so, like I said, I don't know why I'm feeling led to say that, but if we're talking about leadership and taking it to the next level, if you're anything like me or have that personality that can be real big at certain points, is to embrace and practice calmness and see what it does in your communications and how people respond to it. But it's been a tremendous gift for me this year.
Yeah. Well, stay cool, stay calm. You're beautiful. give Beckham a hug for me. I look forward to meeting him someday. Doug, same question to you. What would you like to leave the audience with as we say goodbye?
Be willing to get dirty. Be willing to get muddy in order to, thrive in the light and have like the most fun that you could even think would be possible. It comes from playing in the mud. How's that?
Hey, I love you both. I appreciate your time, your energy, your spirit today. And again, on behalf of all the servant leaders out there, I appreciate you both very much and have a blessed day. See you soon.